Hey guys, Dr. Berg here. Now last week I did a video on how to eat bacon to burn off belly fat. This week we're going to reverse the flow and teach you how to burn fat if you are a vegan. All right? We're going to use the same principle, but we're going to show you different foods. All right? Now, I asked you a question last time if you watched the video. What is the hormone that determines whether you burn fat or burn sugar? Do you know? There is a hormone that will determine this, and I'm going to use a reference called Guyton's Medical Physiology, the Bible of medical physiology, used in all the medical schools and also pre-med classes. So on page 926, here it says, actually 927, it says, all aspects of fat metabolism are greatly enhanced in the absence of insulin. So all fat burning is greatly enhanced when you don't have insulin. Okay, now over here, the role of insulin in switching between carbohydrate and lipid metabolism, or that's fat metabolism. It says right here, when the glucose concentration is low, when sugar is low, insulin secretion is suppressed and fat is utilized almost exclusively for energy, right? And there's many, many references in here that talk about when you have insulin lack, when you're lacking insulin, your body is forced to burn fat. So insulin is the main hormone that we need to keep suppressed if we have any chance or hope of getting into fat burning, okay? So when insulin is high, you're going to stimulate sugar. When insulin is low, you're going to stimulate fat burning, all right? So that's that. Now, you probably heard of the glycemic index, right? Foods high in sugar, you have to avoid those, but there's also something else called the insulin index, okay? And I'm going to show you that next. All right, so now we have all the glycemic index foods, which are foods that turn into sugar fast, which trigger insulin, but there are other things that trigger insulin too. And you can see those in the insulin index, okay, which I have right here. So I have from low to high all the foods that don't really trigger insulin and the ones that do. What I did is I summarized all of the foods that are acceptable that are low on the list. So what's interesting are the fattier foods do not trigger insulin, and they're not on the glycemic index. So our goal is to lower insulin. Forget about calories. Let's just talk about hormones. We need to keep insulin as low as possible if you're going to have any chance of losing weight. So these are the foods that are acceptable to consume. Olives, very low on the list. 3%, that's really low. Avocados, very low on the list. Chia seeds, nearly zero effect. Pecans, you can do macadamia nuts. Even peanuts are low on the list. Walnuts are low on the list, but pecans are the lowest. Then we have coconut oil and coconut meat, very low on the list. Mushrooms, low on the list. Seeds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds are really, really good. Peanut butter, tahini butter, that's sesame seed butter. You can get that at the grocery store. All bran, now I don't really recommend cereals, but all bran is low on the list. It's a fiber. Chickpeas as hummus. Kidney beans are low on the list. Other beans are very high on the list. In fact, baked beans is nearly like it's 100%. It's way, way out of the range. Oatmeal, steel cut, is like a moderate, so you could probably do that occasionally. Tofu is low on the list, but what's interesting is highly concentrated protein, like whey protein, which is not vegan, and especially soy protein isolates. You want to stay away from that because that's very high on the list. I'll talk about that in the next section. Vegetables. We can eat all the vegetables except corn and anything too sweet. Pea protein is fine. And ghee, even though that comes from an animal, sometimes that's acceptable in a vegan diet. So these are the foods that you would want to consume. Now, these are the foods that we want to avoid because they do trigger insulin and some of these glucose, okay? So fruits, we want to avoid all fruits. Grains, that includes breads, pasta, cereal, crackers, biscuits, waffles, pancakes. Juices of all kind, especially the orange juice. Beans, unless it's the kidney bean or the chickpea, okay? And lentils we want to avoid. That's a little bit higher in the list, unfortunately. Berries we want to avoid. Potatoes and rice we want to avoid. Even brown rice is quite high. All sugars, of course, and corn, all right? And then we want to also avoid any concentrated protein like the soy protein isolates. Now you could probably do, if you're doing tofu, it has to be organic or else it's GMO, okay? So these are the foods you want to consume. These are the foods you want to avoid. Now, there's a couple other principles. The other thing that triggers insulin index is gastrointestinal hormones. So every time you eat, you virtually trigger insulin to some degree. So what got you in this position in the first place is just maybe too much snacking, eating the wrong foods, and just the stimulation of insulin. Whether you're a diabetic or not, many people that have belly fat are, it's called insulin resistance, which basically they're pre-diabetic, which they have a messed up insulin and they need to actually fix it. So what we want to do, we got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What we want to avoid are the snacks in between. Why? Because eating a meal triggers insulin. So we want to start off with 3 meals a day. Now, even though the insulin is spiked, if you don't have anything between the meal, we'll have a chance for your switch to start switching more to fat burning, okay? And especially at night. Now, if you're not hungry in the morning, then don't eat. So therefore we have 2 meals, lunch and dinner. And what'll happen when you're not eating, you can burn fat longer because the meal that we want to have your body consume is your own belly as the meal, as the food. And we want it to switch over to fat burning and then eating. Now, here's the problem. If you can't go from one meal to the next without starving, without needing a snack, what we're going to do is we're going to add more fat, maybe some olives to the meal, the next meal. We keep adding fat to the next meal until we can go longer and longer. The fat is not necessarily going to help you burn fat, but it's low on the insulin scale and it allows you not to stimulate insulin. It allows you to go longer. Coconut oil, avocado, pecans. We want to add a little more fat to the meal for the purpose of going longer so you can do a little intermittent fasting, which also greatly improves insulin resistance, okay? Versus a low-calorie, grazing all day, starvation. That will not work because we have never have a chance to induce the fat-burning effect, okay? So we want to eat these foods, avoid these foods, have less frequent meal, no snacking, try to get a little bit more sleep. If we add exercise, that would be cool. And then also add apple cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons in a glass of water with each meal, okay? So those actions, I think, will help you more than anything else. So go ahead and apply this and give me some comments below. I will see you in the next video. Hey, thanks for watching. Listen, I'm always trying to come up with new ideas for new videos, but I just wanted to ask you personally, what do you need help with? So if there's any topic or subject that you would be more interested in, please click the link below and let me know. Thank you very much.